Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Adi Ekshtain on the line. He's co-founder over at Amaryllis. Adi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, so excited to get into today's topic. So we will talk about payment facilitation. But before we get into that, maybe let's go a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started really in this whole payment industry?
Yeah, so about 20 years ago, in my first job straight out of college, I was part of a very small team that invented mobile payments, which was the precursor to what you know today as Apple Pay and Google Pay. Now, I don't know if you remember what kind of phone you had in your hand in 1999. It was probably a flip phone or a Motorola StarTech or a version of Nokia that you played the game Snake on. In any case, there were no smartphones, there were no apps, there wasn't even any app store. And we found a way to put an app on those mobile phones, and we partnered with Orange Telecom. And we deployed a commercial solution where people could go to a grocery store, a restaurant, a pharmacy, and pay for the goods with their phone.
Wow, so that was the original, and I do think I remember. I think it was one of those little square Nokias. I don't know if I had the flip. I think I had the American Freedom Plan, $49.99 for 500 anytime minutes. I do remember. You took me way back. So, whoa, Adi, that was like time travel. So that being said, I mean, you obviously are a pioneer in the industry. You're working at this, very, very early on. And now, many years later, I mean, take us to Amaryllis and the company you started and tell us a little bit more about what you're doing present day.
Yeah, so throughout all these years, I designed and implemented numerous payment systems in about any industry you can think of, from healthcare to real estate, ride sharing. And what we noticed is a pattern in the market that companies kept building the same payment system in-house over and over again. Unlike, for example, CRM software, you would not build your own CRM software these days. There are so many available packages to choose from. So we decided to take all of our knowledge, know-how, and expertise and mold it into a technology stack that others can use so they don't need to reinvent the payment wheel. And that's Amaryllis. Amaryllis is a cloud-based platform that lets companies embed payments, monetize payments, and become payment facilitators. And it's mostly suitable for marketplaces or enterprises or well-funded startups that want a shortcut to this market. And they can operate in almost any industry. We serve clients in e-commerce, retail, grocery delivery, ticketing, travel, and many more industries.
So I don't want to assume that everybody listening knows exactly what payment facilitation is. Maybe just a brief education.
Absolutely. So a payment facilitator, or PayFac in short, is a company that provides mini payment processing services, so to speak. So they get permission from a real payment company to accept payment on behalf of their merchants. And in the process, they get to decide who they're going to do business with, so they can sign up their merchants very quickly and charge a fee for each transaction running through their system. So maybe a couple of examples. Good examples are MindBody and Shopify. MindBody provides software to manage fitness, wellness, and beauty services to over 50,000 merchants. Shopify, as you may well know, is an e-commerce platform that powers online stores for millions of businesses. And the interesting thing is that both of these companies, after they started facilitating the payments of their customers, a large portion of the revenue comes from the payment monetization and not from the sales of their software. I can speak to the benefits of payment facilitation. I can name the top three so the audience can understand. First is creating a new revenue stream. As a payment facilitator, you get to tap to and charge a margin, a fee, on all payments of all merchants in your platform. The second benefit is the speed up of your merchant onboarding. Today, if your platform enables payments for merchants, the website or the stores, you either have to send them to a third-party payment processor to apply for what's called a merchant account, or you need to collect a lot of sensitive information, including social security numbers, bank account details, and then hand it over to a third party. This process takes time, days, sometimes even weeks. But when you become a payment facilitator, and with the help of software like the one provided by Amaryllis, of course, you can onboard your customers instantly, which brings me to number three, that your business valuation go up, because now you have more customers and you monetize them much better.
Wow. So, I mean, there's a lot of benefits here. I mean, one, obviously, you're really, you're helping, especially with marketplaces, things like that. And the fact that you're lowering the barrier of entry. So now that somebody doesn't have to, like you said, reinvent the wheel. And I like the CRM example you made. Like, nobody right now, who's going to go and build their own CRM? It's not realistic. Like, why? There's so many different solutions out there. So now you've done the same thing on payment facilitation. It's awesome. So how can, there's some people listening right now and they're thinking about, different business opportunities or how to integrate what you're doing and what you're talking about with maybe what they're doing, or maybe they want to go further into that industry. I mean, how do people scale a business without taking much risk in this whole payment facilitation world?
Yes, absolutely. So the challenge is that bringing payments in-house is very expensive. And that's because if you want a part of this pie, you have more responsibilities, you need to take more risk, and you need to build more tools to support that. And that, from our experience, easily takes a couple of years, and the costs are in the millions. So what I recommend is seeking out the help of payment professionals that specialize in payment facilitation. And of course, use cutting-edge technologies like Amaryllis that can save you time, money, and also make sure you don't make avoidable mistakes.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So where do you, let's take it just maybe one step further there. So if somebody's having because you've seen both sides of this, right? So you've seen people make these type of costly mistakes, and then you've seen the other side. So I mean, take us a step further on what that might look like.
Yes, so managing risk is an ongoing task. You need to do it before, during, and after you onboard your merchants or customers. So typical mistakes that could be avoided are on the underwriting and onboarding part. You need to know what question to ask, and you want to have rapid onboarding. You don't want to ask too many questions and scare your merchants off. And when I say merchants, it could be drivers or any other participants in the sharing economy. And then once you made a decision that you want to work with them and take payments on their behalf and also pay them their residuals, you need to ongoingly monitor the activities in all the accounts to make sure there is no fraudulent behavior, that everybody behaves, and that's how you really manage risk. And the best way to do it is with a software that does it for you automatically and then sends you alerts whenever you need to pay attention to something.
That's awesome. So Adi, if somebody's listening to this and they want, final question, two-part question. If somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about Amaryllis, I mean, number one, what's usually the right type of fit to work with you in your company? And number two, what's the best way for them to connect?
Yeah, so I would say the best fit for us are enterprises or marketplaces or well-funded startups, typically doing 25 million or more in payments. And they can just head over to our website at amaryllispay.com and fill out a short form, and we'll get in touch with them right away.
Fantastic. Well, Adi, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and how you got started, taking me back to that Nokia phone I had once upon a time, and also all the great success that you're having with Amaryllis, helping businesses out there. So thank you for that. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, especially if you're a first-time listener, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you be a return listener. We have much more great guests just like Adi coming up shortly, so we don't want you to miss out on those. And Adi, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Adam.